let me talk about let me talk about the female actors in the Black Manosphere and how they jump from panel to panel to they jump from panel to panel, chat to chat, and disrespects other people's platforms and disrespect other people's supporters and pin men against each other, and also tell you about these men who work with these women in order to use men for views and money. So overall, these women, here go the game that a lot of guys don't understand in the red pill spaces and the MGTOW spaces and all this other stuff. I said this in one of my other videos that the men and the women work together. Now this is more prevalent than before. You see these men on these women channels and they got wrenches. They're mods on their women channels. You see certain guys that speak up against some of these women and they get timed out or blocked off a channel for speaking up. Some of these same men that you see on red pill spaces or other people's, they will be on one platform saying that talking about black women and this and that, and then they'll jump on another panel and kind of contradict what they said before. They used the women, suck the self-esteem out of certain these dudes, and then the men build them up, but pay them. You have to pay them in order to get your self-esteem up after the black women knocked you down. So they want to create more men that they can use, and more they want to create more men they can use, and it's back and forth. Means that one side is using you, telling you you're nothing, telling you don't fit a certain role, and then they tell you that you need to go get a dating coach and you need to look up to these men. So obviously they're doing the same okie doke that they did in the black church, but there they're doing it on YouTube and social media, and then they're pretending like they're different than anybody else. Now I'm going to show you a lot of evidence to show you, and I'm gonna have my commentary on all these comments. Now, one comment we have is this chick, Toya, whatever her name is, right? This chick on Nicole Michelle's live said a lot of things about Obsidian, and said she had a young guy that is having sex with her and pleasing her. So what is a female like that on YouTube in the chat box saying this? Yes, I've been seduced over the phone for 2 months. Before then, when he walked through the door, it was fire. But you already have a man. Why are you talking about your experience when you have a man, right? Having all that great sex. So why are you not having all that great sex? So then we got the Concrete Rose, who's a frequent of Obsidians, right? She comes up Obsidians and she causes drama. She goes back and forth with all the people in the chat, and it's entertaining to her. She contradicted herself when she was on Obsidian's panel, and she said a lot of things. Then pretty much what she did was make herself look a little stupid, because every time Obsidian goes live, she used him as a warm-up seat. She used him as a platform, and she goes back and forth with the men, and the men in the chat room go back and forth with her. But as soon as a Kendra D comes up, look what she says. Right? Cerulean. As soon as I saw Kendra was live, I bounced. Told you. And then I tell you, this shows her that she using platform and she's bouncing from platform to platform. She's not loyal. She doesn't care what black men have to say, because she's always in the chat rooms of Obsidians and every single black always of Obsidians, and always going back and forth and trying to make seem like Obsidian's wrong for what he says. And This is her. This is a chick who says she'd make a lot of money, but she always have time to be on YouTube going back and forth with a bunch of men in chat rooms. And then when she doesn't like what something goes, or she want to go with side with something, and it shows you more about Kendra D, because this is the women that they have in their chats. Kendra D never called her out. She loves Kendra D. So that's why I said, Kendra D, you see who people hang out with and what they say to people, who their friends are and who they associate themselves with, and that'll show you who they really are. If a person who said they're kind and nice, but all they have is friends that are thieves and scammers, would you trust that person who says they nice? No, you wouldn't. This is Kendra D's support system. They're consistently going on other people's pages, causing disturbance, and then after they don't get their way, or that they want to see that Kendra D is there, she bounces. And then you got women in here who worship Taz, like he's the great warrior Taz. I mean, I heard the most stupidest thing that these people said about about Taz. And anybody who supported him pretty much shouldn't even be on anybody's channel, but they're not my channel, so I don't really care. So Concrete Rose confesses herself to be one of those chicks that she said she was never one of them. She lied on Obsidian's channel and said she was different from all the other women and she changed her ways. But here she says that pretty much she's jealous of men who go after beautiful women, and if somebody wants her attention, she's gonna make the guy spend all his money on her and her friends, the whole crew. Pretty much showing out that, pretty much telling herself that she will literally take advantage of a guy instead of telling him no. And this is a woman who says she has a fiance or whatever. Now here go the clearer ones, not the ones that I screenshotted. Now there was a conversation between Kendra D and this guy Nicholas Feuder. If women keep rejecting incels, then they will take revenge. Pretty much, he didn't mean it like that, and he's going to clarify that, and you're going to see his comments there. Pretty much, what he said right there, it seemed like it could be misconstrued. So, let's see the next one. The problem that will create is hate for women across generations. When incels get into a position of power, they will become very vindicated against women and their ethnic group. So he's pretty much saying the right. He's saying what incels plan to do. He's not advocating. See, and I'm gonna tell you this right here. Black women like a Kendra D, all these black women on YouTube, they don't want men to ever confuse them with other women and pack them in together, but they will do the same thing with incels or MGTOW and say MGTOW all the same and incels all the same and they're that and they this and they're that. But he was just making a good point, saying that if you keep these incels who actually want to date out of the dating pool, eventually they're going to get a status, a position, and they're not going to help their own race. He didn't talk about violence. He's talking about alternatives. He's not ER. He's not that other guy in Canada. He's talking about gaining power and showing these women with the ability to starve them out and not help them with anything and take position in power like the LGBT community did to certain people. They turned on black folks, that black women who supported them, and now they join the white side. So he's not lying. But then you got people here taking shots at incels. So this whole thing started when this Nicholas guy came up and called Kendra D out. And then she ran on a tirade, and guess what? Everybody in the chat was going after incels. And I'm gonna dissect all of this shit, right? So one guy said incels often buy vans with tinted windows. So he generalizing all incels and say they buy, but these are the same people who don't want black women to be generalized. And they up in arms, but they don't make the distinction between certain incels. Okay, sure. So one guy that was basically trying to fight for the thing is what he was saying. Him, Nicholas, and Lamont was actually fighting back on what she was saying. I commend these two. So he says, so the new argument is you have to be alpha. Most men ain't alpha though. Most guys are just normal regular guys. Beta don't mean basement dweller. And he has a good point. They make all these little talking points about alpha male and beta male and everything else, but they don't know the real question. They don't know the real definition of this stuff. No one can give themselves the title of alpha and beta. The only way you can always put yourself as an alpha or beta or whatever is when you by your actions. See, I said this many times. It can be a guy in the gym who never fought a day in his life, and there could be a guy all he did was spend all his time on a farm. You know why the guy on the farm is going to be stronger than the guy that's in the gym pumping weights? Because the guy in the farm has endurance. He's not there for muscle. He's there. The guy on the farm is not doing it for his body. The guy on his farm is doing it to produce food for his family, or the work with his family to produce money. So it might take hours and hours and hours. That's 8 hours of manual labor. This is why a lot of farm boys are usually strong men. They usually compete in strongman competitions. They're more stronger than the weightlifters in the gym, because all they do is pick up unusual things, not set weights, and do it for a number of sets. They have to do it without a system, and they have to do it to produce something, not to look good, but for survival. And usually those guys who put the survival out there, like a Usain Bolt or anybody who been in certain kind of situations and environments, they're usually better equipped and better built and they have better strength than the guys who are in the gym. So if you want to build your body up, it's better that you do it outside the gym than in the gym. And to have alpha men, to be an alpha male and a beta male, you shouldn't let anybody tell you that. Every man has a role and a test that they have to take in life to know whether you're alpha or you're beta. Certain situations come up. At one point my house got robbed, and the 2 dudes was in my house, right? Instead of me running and calling the cops or whatever, I got up, said, "What the fuck you doing in my house?" and was about to fight both of the dudes, and they ran out. That was my alpha moment. These dudes was in my house. They was gonna get hurt or worse because they was in my place. If I would have ran, scared, walked out, let them steal stuff, then I would have been a beta. There's been moments and moments in my life where I was tested with fighting situations, and I learned to walk away. Some fighting situations I fought. But the fact is, no one can tell you if you're alpha or beta. that has to be brought to you in situations, and wherever you fight or flight. That's how you know you're alpha or beta. Okay, now one of these comments again. Incels are socially and sexually oppressed. See, this is the common denominator that these people say because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But then you ask these guys questions. Okay, how many people you know watch anime? Can you name how many people watch anime? I play video games hardcore. How many people you think watch sports? Or all your friends? If you ask them a certain amount of questions, like I said before in my other video, these guys are not socially awkward. They're just not socially compatible with you or the women that they want to pursue. And a sexual repression, a lot of guys are fine with just not having sex. Why? Because it's too much hassle to get it. And they see it in all of this knowledge they're getting online. And they get it from their experiences. Yeah, they did work hard to get it. But the fact is, after a while, if they're coming home with headaches after headache after headache, and they're walking back home feeling like they're being played by a girl, they don't want to keep going through that motion over and over and over again just to get something that's feeling good for, what, a minute, 2 minutes, depending on how long they can last. Or might have the girl automatically say, well, I wasn't expecting that, and leave. A lot of guys do put in the work, and they don't get none of their rewards. And sometimes they in the middle of doing work, and the woman is so horrible in being around, they can't put up the persona no more, and they leave. And they use that as an instance to not going back. Now listen, another argument right here. Most black men ain't even incels. The truth is, women are rejecting normal everyday men. The incels is such a small element of black men. He put another gem out there. Socially inept is the word. Sex is a human need. They can't get sex, so they go crazy. It's the belief that if guys don't get sex, they go crazy. So what about the monks? What about nuns? What about a lot of people who stain from sex and don't go crazy? See, only these I almost let that slip. I don't want to curse too much. Only these fools, these pussy slaves, think that you need sex in order to give you life. There's a lot of men I know right now, or I knew of, that didn't even have sex until they made 6 figures. They didn't have sex until they graduated out of med school. They didn't have sex until they got out of law school. They didn't have sex until a percentage of stuff. Their family even told them straight up, like, if you do this and do this and do that, then you can have sex. Some of these guys are in their 30s. Some of them in their 20s. They have their priorities straight, and they're just not out here loose like black people. But we want to sit back and put this whole standards on everybody like everybody's out of control when they're not. Only certain people that can't control themselves will say something stupid like that. Because sex is not a need, it's a want. A lot of people can go a lifetime without it. And you said they can go crazy. Well, that's why they have sex dolls. This is why they have porn. A man can go all his life without having sex and be okay, because guess what? Sex is never going to be used against him like you're doing now. A woman can't push up on a man that she wants to use him for. You know, I know a bunch of guys who work in tech, fixing computers, and all types of women try to use sex to get out of paying the technician. And the guys say, I want my money. I don't care about a blowjob. I want my money. And continue to, and then put it on a bill where they owe them money. A guy I know who said a female owes him about at least, I think, $5,000 for fixing all her computers, and she has a real stacked up bill for the company that he worked for. another guy who owns his own business pretty much send a debt collector to a whole bunch of females' houses who try to get out of paying him and their money, but try to payment with sex, because they thought every man is not about their business. So sex is a go-to the factor for certain women to automatically think they can get out of certain things. If they get mad or do something evil or break your property, they'll just lather it up with sex, instead of the man taking her to court, getting his money back. Or they try to get out of paying some things. They go blow the mailman or blow the pizza man or some crazy shit like that, in order to get out of something cleaning, or try to do that to a cop or something, or go sleep with their professors or whatever. Sex is a go-to thing for them to use, and guys like that is easy for them, so you don't take them seriously. Next. Pretty much, I read that. Here go concrete rules again. Some of these dudes don't even have basic instinct man skills. They won't hunt and even approach a woman. So I'm tired of this whole thing with hunting and the analogy between hunting and dating, because I don't think these people never knew what hunting is. See, if an animal is in one place, right, and you're hunting the animal, you have to not let that animal, you can't disturb the animal's environment, or you can't hunt the animal. And if you keep hunting the animal in one environment, then that animal is going to go and stink. So overall, these people don't understand is that if you keep throwing game to these women over and over and over again, eventually these women going to catch on, and they're going to act like that they are oblivious to the game in order to have an advantage over the man. So if the certain guys don't tell them what they want to hear, they're going to say no. And then that guy's going to be running in circles thinking something wrong with him. But all the while, she's already hip to the game. Just like if you go to the same spot and try to hunt the same animal, you're not going to find the animal in that same space, because you already disturbed that area and you already took and fed on half of that animal in the areas. So animals are not going to come in that area anymore, because they know humans are there. They know your scent and they know you're there. So they're going to move and they're going to migrate. There's many complications to hunting animals. You can't put that to humans. But they always said it's stupid ass animal analogy. And here go Nicholas again. I understand, Kendra, your point, but I am not disagreeing. But based on my assumptions, I see trouble on the horizon. It's just like you are nutrients a long time. It's a negative effects. So this guy talks about sex and nutrients. Are you kidding me? See, these guys don't know what they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They try to make their point across because they need sex, and they want every man around them to need sex. So if the guy doesn't want to fit in to do that, they can make fun of him and call them and drag them around like this. They can pay for it. So you have this analogy where you can pay for sex, and these people don't understand what kind of women are in the sex industry and how they act and what they do and who they have. Overall, you can get robbed. Most of the women in the sex industry are not clean. They stink. You got one industry, you got one place you got one place in America that is sex industry polluted, and they are whack women. Trust me, I went to Las Vegas a few times on my dry times. Don't do that no more. And the women were there was not impressive, and their prices was overwhelming. I went into places. I knew guys who went into places and told me about women who were in strip clubs because I got what was it? Tips about you can pay women in strip clubs in, but he pretty much said how they smell and they smell bad in there. Paying for it is the worst because you don't know how these women what these women have. They don't give you no test things, and then they lie and say they clean, and then they end up. One of my other friends, he got I think I forgot what he had from a chick that said she was clean, and this was a professional. So paying for it is not going to do anything, especially when you got certain incels who don't want to. Paying for it is hollow to them. You're just going to make them empty shells, and they're going to keep forking out money, and literally their checks are going to go from necessity to sex, and then eventually they're going to be broke to the next week, and they're going to keep going until they broke again. How many black men are socially inept? What is being sought after is the men of today is far superior to the men of the 50s. Incels is a socially accepted disability. So men who can't get sex is supposed to be a disability now? If that was a disability, then overall a lot of people would be getting money. This guy's man. Let me keep scrolling. See, and I told you this before on a previous. They want guys to change and be just like them. See, women ruin their lives. They're not good at nothing. And the guys who don't get sex are usually more better than they are. They don't have drama in their life. They have money for themselves, and they don't have baby mama drama, and they don't deal with the dramas of dealing with women. So they want to sit back and try to change them. But guess what? These same men who said this shit right here won't say this to a group of black women because, well, black women are out of control. But this guy won't say it because, hey, he's getting sex from them. So he getting his needs met, and he's trying to make sure other brothers are fall in line, because once brothers like him, I hate saying that, but men like him get sex, they shut up about the problems in the black community, and they just let it rock because they're getting pleased by these women. But these women are going around doing all this crazy stuff, and they just let them because, hey, they're getting sex, and they're getting a couple compliments. It's not the so-called YouTube incel, but the person needs to start with themselves first. So do you feel Obsidians? And pay attention to this one comment. You got Concrete Rose, who's on Obsidian. She's always there. And then you got this chick right here, Lady Jessica. See, a few minutes ago, like an hour ago on this same day, she was on Obsidians going back and forth with all the men. Now she take a shot at Obsidian and talking about him disability when he got injured from doing hard labor work, but she wants to take a jab at Obsidian. So you feel Obsidian was once an incel as he disability. See, these women ask stupid ass questions, and then they try to put all men down for no reason. But she's on the man channel. She's on his channel though, going back and forth with the men just like Concrete Rose was. Once these weird ass niggas on YouTube shoot up Victoria's Secret one day, then stew them niggas are dangerous. As 12% of Kevin, maybe a population, they are on here in the Manosphere. So Concrete Rose said her stuff, and this guy too, Craig Hopper, he's also on Obsidians, saying all this other crazy shit. But why are you on people's channels then if you think they're incels? Why do you want the attention of incel men? And she think it's funny. And I told you on one of my other my other videos, that women like her need men to spit on and talk down to. Without them, they feel their life is missing something. If they couldn't be 100% happy with the guy they with, unless he brings in drama, or she competing with somebody. But then once she has that, this is a chick who says she's engaged, but she get a kick out of making fun of men in the black manosphere, because she thinks that they have problems. But she goes on the panels and says the exact opposite of what she said, and when she get called out, she has nothing to say. I need more research. So this guy doesn't know what incel is, but he's speaking on it, right? They infiltrate more popular websites. See, he doesn't know shit, but he's saying this shit. When most incels got their own networks, they got their own thing. It was a black incel on here on YouTube, and I forgot his name. His name Incel Podcast, but he stopped because he knew level he knew level 3 incels didn't like him, because most of the incels are white guys, and in a whole heart organization, they think black men are the problem. So he couldn't fit in, so he stopped, and he got off YouTube altogether. It's not uncommon in society for sexless men to go crazy and rebel. That's why polygamy is illegal in many countries, because rich men hog all the women and other men revolt violently. Wrong. That's wrong. The fact is that when you tell women that they can go hypergamous, they can go hypergamy, they don't want to do it, because it entails that if they're locked down with one dude, other men's gonna see this and not gonna ever touch them ever again. He's about 40% true about that. But in other countries, they do that in the first place, and the violence it was never about the women, it's about the wealth. It wasn't about the women, so he's wrong on that part. Concrete grows in her so-called knowledge again, saying it's higher. And Grinch, someone who frequent on women's chats and panels, because lately I seen him on Obsidian's for a little bit, and then he goes around disrespecting Obsidian's, veteran crew. He talked about Babatuna, he talked about the Gone before the breakup, before the the disinvolvement of him and Obsidian, and he goes from panel to panel, but he's all on women's channel, and he takes sides with the women, just like another guy on the panel who did that too. He was alongside Obsidians, and then he changed around and turned up on Obsidians, and now he's a mod on Kendra D's channel and other women channels. So this guy's just like the other ones, simps and pussy slaves. Incels are created by the media and society, not by parents. A one who actually knew what the fuck is going on. That's because they are comfortable with internet. See, one of the things that the reason why a lot of people keep themselves out of the shadows and out of the spotlight, because women like Concrete Rose or Paris Milan. Look at Tommy Sotomayor and look at his channel. And look at him, and when he tells about everybody who is doxing his number, threatening his mom, threatening his kids, because he has a different opinion about them. Not a lot of people will Not a lot of people will let that slide when you talk about their kids or talk about their family. They'll handle you. And a lot of people keep themselves out of the shadows and out of the spotlight because they want to protect what they have. Some of these guys, by popular belief, they do have jobs. But these women on this black manosphere, and women in general, will cost these guys their jobs. Then these guys will turn into an ER because of what they do. That's what they want to prove. But when these guys are not in there, all they can do is talk about them and stuff like that. But they can't hurt their jobs. Because there's many women who cost a lot of people jobs, including myself, who cost me a lot of certain things. This was from Facebook. Women got together, lied on me, and cost me a very good opportunity. So I know what they would do. That's why I keep myself out of the spotlight now. After the Facebook incident that happened, I don't want none of that to happen again. But they think that you're scared of showing your face or showing what you look like. I've never been. But I grew from that situation and I learned from that situation. And I see Tommy and what he go through, and I don't want to go through that. Just because a guy like C Boogie is showing his face, don't mean that down the line somebody's going to want to test him. Because he think he's big and bad, but if somebody out there with more army skills or a golden glove boxer come up to him, he ain't going to be able to handle that. He said it on one of his lives. Or somebody from the special forces who say, oh, I want to test your metal. Let's fight. Let's do it. Or they come with their crew. Or somebody who used to be a sniper or whatever. Or got some kind of specialty behind them. Or they say, oh yeah, I know, I'm in a gang and blah, 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 blah. And they want to test him out. He ain't going to survive that. He think he tough. But most people think they tough until they meet somebody that is tougher than them. Eventually down the line, he already had somebody wanting to fight him. And that's why he backed off. He went against Darius McTowell and backed off of him too. But all this crazy shit they keep saying. Nicholas, what I see in the future is that the incels are going to strip every law that protects women in every society they attain in power. When that occurs, they're going to dehumanize and humiliate. He's right and he's wrong. There was an incident that happened in Paris, was in World War II, where the French women was they were sleeping with the Germans and the German regime. I'm gonna say it like that because you can't say it. I don't know if you can say it on here. They were sleeping with the Germans. What they did, they found all the women who slept with the Germans at the time of the war and turned their backs on the French men. They stripped them naked, made them walk in the middle of the street. Some of them got their hair cut off, and some got worse. So he might be right about that, but they're not gonna dehumanize. They are gonna leave them out in the cold, where these women are gonna feel alone, and they're gonna close every single avenue they can on women. They're not gonna hire them. They're going to look in their background. They're going to see what the woman said. It's happening now. The Me Too movement has fired back on a lot of women. A lot of women are not getting hired in certain jobs anymore because people don't want to get Me Too. Even the most attractive men are staying away from certain women. Look, ask the guy who plays Superman in Man of Steel. He said it himself in the article that he don't want to be around women because he's scared that they're going to try to use Me Too on him. TV tells you women, which men are creepy and not. It's not. Let's get real. Just ask Lifetime. Lifetime. And this guy's right. These dudes need to be monitored closely. See, and this is what I'm talking about. So you want all these men who y'all don't like to be monitored closely by the FBI and stuff. Trust me, this mindset that Concrete Wolves have, and I can show you the papers on my situation with women like her, called the cops on me, called the feds on me, and they came knocking on my door. And they disrupt my life because of women like her. All the way from California, mind you, all the way from California. There was no disturbance in Philadelphia, because if it was that serious, then it would have happened before. Someone said something in California and they went across state lines and hit it in Philadelphia, and they come knocking on my door because they thought that I was somebody while I wasn't, because of women like her. And they were black women that called the cops on me, and then they found out that I wasn't like that, but they already cost me all the things that they cost me. So overall, she just showed that she's one of these women she believes in black supremacy, but also she believes that certain men can get away with certain things, but some men who don't fit a certain demographic, they should be watched closely, and they shouldn't be able to do anything until they mimic the guys that they like, who is going to sacrifice themselves and throw themselves out there for them. Incels and lames are often whatever. See? Femcells. Damn, what happened? So, Def Patson said femcells. So these are female women who act like they can't get any men. So they're calling themselves femcells, trying to fit in with men, trying to get into incels crowds in order to do the same thing that I made a video previously about. And it's not working, because everybody knows that women can get sex easier than men. Overall, they can. So the only women that you know that can't get sex are women who are disfigured. Women with one leg, no arms, can get sex. Fat, overweight women that's 300 pounds can get sex. A woman who smells like fish can get sex. A woman who has no job can get sex. Women with flat chests can get sex. A skinny woman who looks like she's about to die will get sex. But try to put all them features and all them things I said on a man. It won't happen. So he says only a select guys get to have sex on the first date. Incels sell crazy. See, misinformation, and now these women are going around telling misinformation to other people. And now they generalizing everybody else. But these are the same people who want you to not generalize black women. But in all this evidence that I'm pointing to, they don't have no problem generalizing you when you don't fit a certain standard. So why are you trying to make a distinction between them and say not all, when they don't never make a distinction on all the men they don't like? They don't give you the same courtesy that you're giving them. And he said Obsidian needs to hear this. She tried to tell Obsidians, who was on air longer than Kendra D and got so many videos out there and had his own blog talk radio show, that he needs to learn from a chick who is pretending and who just came in the Manosphere. See what I'm saying? Women will reject incels in their younger years, but when women become older, they hit the wall, they will want to settle down with incels. Can you explain that? And he's right. That's what usually happens. They come around when they're old and beat up and dogged out, and then they try to use the guys that they never liked. They will see your man in your profile and stay in your inbox every morning. Wrong. Thirsty lame, can't handle rejection, low self-esteem, no gang swagger, and losing no respect from women. See, these guys like this say no respect for women, but they won't say anything about women having no respect for men and their work ethic. You know, these same dudes who say all this stuff like that will never stand up for men who get who got lied on by women. They'll seem quiet and they'll make fun of them. I've been there before. I told a lot of people what I had to go through before I left Facebook, and I said, well, they stopped my life and stuff. Oh, you did this and did this, and I said, wow, this is what. There's no empathy for nobody who get lied on by women. They didn't believe me, and then when I started showing the papers, they were surprised and said, well, I didn't know that really happens. I'm like, I just told you. Guys like this who says stupid ass comments like that are usually the thug hood dudes that they say. Because look what he said. He said game and swagger, pretty much the same thing. He don't know what low self-esteem is, because guess what? If you put him in an environment that he can't survive, he'll mess it up and he will have to go back to the environment that he's used to. Yeah, the incels are angry, but they're getting rejected all the time. Not just you rejecting him. He's been rejected all his life. See? They understand that. Because some people were born in the wrong places where they couldn't fit in. And they don't know where they can fit in at. Are living in a mom's basement and on the internet all day. Tidy whities with their peenies. Lotion next to their laptops in case he needs it. See? She making a generalization, but then when black men say something about black women, she wants to jump up and holler and say, no, we're not all like that. We need to have empathy for black women. She said this on many chat rooms. She says all this other crap, but then she wants to generalize all of them. The guy that did the thing in Canada, he was an incel. He had a tech job. So you just made it wrong right there. And how do you know they're online every day on a computer? But you have a fiance, but you're in a chat. Right? And you're on people's panels trying to prove that black women are not all the same, but you go on another channel and show your true colors because you think that you're not watched and no one's going to call you out, but you're not intelligent enough to know that there's going to be a few men that are not going to believe you, and they're going to take screenshots and show what you're saying. And you can't walk out of this. You're stupid enough to think that nobody's going to pay attention to things you say on one channel, and then look at what you're saying on another channel and see you keep changing who you are, or you showing who you really are on the channels you want to be on, but the channels you don't want to be on, you want to walk around with this fake persona saying how you want to understand black men and understand our gripes and all everything, but then you want to put us in a box and generalize us, and then everybody who you think is below you, you can say, well, I'm kicking them. I'm not kicking you, black man. But then automatically it's kicking the people below, because that might be somebody's family member you're talking about. But you don't think about that. So you burning bridges at both ends. This guy says incels are ticking time bombs. No way from a school shooting. Another generalization with them, but then they want to get mad. People want to get mad when white people talk about black people and generalize black people. This is what I'm saying. This hypocrite bullshit that's going on. If incels were an issue, why is this brand new? The issue that black women were complaining about was black men not handling business. Seen once, that's proven incorrect, and the argument changed. See? Lamont and a few others are actually telling the truth about this. The men they pick and they've been sleeping around with haven't done shit for them. The black community is shit. You got a whole bunch of kids out here shooting, killing, eliminating each other. You got a whole bunch of kids out here selling drugs, fighting in the middle of the street. Every time you take a black person somewhere, they're fighting each other. You got all these kids on drugs. They all want to be the same thing. Rappers, entertainers. They don't want to be nothing. Don't want to be nothing. They dropping out of high school, and it's all the women fault because they want to be with a guy with swag. They not want to be with a guy with discipline. They want to be with the guys who does the same thing. So they got called out. Evidence came out that they complain about the men, so they want to change the narrative and say, well, let's go after the lowest group of men, because those guys who we never paid attention to, that's invisible, are the problem, and those guys are going to do us dirty. Not the guys in the middle of the street fighting each other, shooting at each other, robbing people all over the town. We're going to blame the guys that are inside the house on the computer. We're going to blame the guys we're going to point at one or two people in the whole entire group and say, hey, those guys represent that guy, the ER, and the guy that did what he did in Canada is just like all of the other ones. But then want to turn around and say, hey, we're not all like that. You trying to put us in the same box. But then you put everybody in the same box, and all the incels in the same box as an ER. Funny how y'all do that and try to switch around all the time and think that generalizations works one way and you can go around talking about one group of people, but then when someone talks about you, you get up in arms and think that it changes. So it's get nothing but rejected over and over. So they begin to slowly psychologically become creepy. The consistent rejection makes them creepy. See, they never specify what makes them creepy. They change up, and these are black people for you right here. They always change the definition of what they think things really mean, but when it really means something else, everybody else catch on to it, and they look at black people like, yo, I'm not being around these people, because they always changing what they think words mean, and not what it really mean. And he just came at Obsidian again. Incels can get sex. They don't want they want the hot girls out their league, and get mad when pretty girls don't want them. Yeah, I'm wrong. See, you don't know that, because there's a lot of incels who try to date fat, ugly women, and it ended up going bad because the fat, ugly, disgusting women were entitled. Women with one arm was entitled. I met a chick who had one leg, and she was entitled and arrogant. And I laughed and I said, if I knock that fake leg out, you're going to fall to the ground. There was another chick who had one arm. She was arrogant because she was good looking. I said, if I knock that arm off, that fake arm, you at least I can feel my arms. I told the girl too, at least I can run down the street. And that was her talking trash to me when I didn't say anything to her. So wrong. Who been rejected by every woman. That's why I don't call them incels. They're voluntary celibate. They don't choose that shit. If you're getting tons of kidding, I assume that you're kind to women are somewhat charming. See, pretty much Concrete Woes is saying what everybody else is saying. You got to be some suave dude who kisses women ass. At this point, they can get women they won't make longer in the incel. At this point, they are just dogs. And Red Pill or whatever group of men they fall and carry into the new jaded, they are now jaded with women. And how many women are jaded with men, but you don't call them out, do you? And here we go to the number system. They don't make a new system up. They're comfortable. See, when you give people a certain system that they're comfortable with, they always latch onto it and thinking that they can keep using it. But my system, I got a whole new system. I don't use the number system. I use the system of gold, silver, bronze, and coal. And then this dude, E-Cop, really contradicts himself again and says, why do people talk about pimps like they're role models? But then he want to have an opinion on a previous chat about incels and everything else. These dudes are all over the place. These comments all over the place, man. So we got one guy who said they ain't choosing that shit. No one is helping them figure out what they are doing wrong. Quarantine them, that's to form a weird arrangement of a person that they don't receive interaction. So dude like this says that they should quarantine them and people should teach them. No, all you are mostly pussy slaves, and no one should take a word what you said, because guess what? The black community, if you know all this about women, why is the black community not where it should be at? Why are women running the black community and all these so-called games and all these guys who good with women and all this? Why can't you ever try to change the world? Why can't you change black America? You could do this shit in at least a year. All of your game, all your swag, all your sex game, you can easily make these women to do what you say. But none of this shit change. We view awkwardness as we see it as a weakness. Women like strong men with prominent leadership skills. Some of us fall for pedo leaders though. So you just proved your own stupid ass point, you dumb idiot. None of these people, you said social awkwardness is weakness, but you said strong men. So if these guys were so strong, then why they're not leading the black community? All these guys who are so strong, because they're not strong and they can't lead anybody. All they do is fool you stupid women into believing that they're strong, but they can't do nothing. They're not doing anything. They're not putting no real work in, because everybody beating them in every other category except women. And then Concrete Rose comes in the chat like she should, and come over here, and guess what? She has a wrench. I told you about her. She's in every single chat room, and she's in every single black manosphere. She tried to be in every single black manosphere and hold some power, because once you give these women a wrench, they can say what they want, and they are the reasons why a lot of men, the good ones who want to support black men through in and throughout, leave the black manosphere, because women like Reigning Woman got wrenches, and she's got wrenches in 3 channels, and 2 is from men channels and 1 in women, and she probably has more. Y'all giving these women a lot of power, and it's y'all fault. But these are guys that so-called leaders. Now they letting the manosphere look like a joke now. Just like the black community is a joke, and the black church is a joke. She's talking about he wanted to change their behavior. And what, makes them simps like you are? Or make them pussy slaves like you? Or make them arrogant and go around burning bridges and making fun of people and causing and making enemies of everybody? I have seen women and men who are deformed physically having sex partners. Then this guy, Wolf in Beta Clothes, saying blame is a choice. See, they always try to choose certain things. I embrace my quirkiness. So she wants to call herself quirkiness because everybody else said that is weird. And you got women like her who knows that if a woman say they weird or awkward, they can get away with it. But a man says they weird and awkward, they can't get away with it. And no one calls her out because, hey, she's part of the crew now. I was broke in getting my balls drained quite a bit. Said he was broke, and he thinks that accomplishment. He thinks that's accomplishment to have sex even though you're broke. And that's the reason why Asian is shitting on the black community by themselves. Indians are shitting on the black community. Latinos are shitting on the black community. And definitely white people are shitting on the black community. Because you brag about senseless bullshit and you're not getting money and power. But you think that just because you got sex from women when you're broke, it means you are some top guy, when you're not, because you have no power and you didn't save and get no power. You look stupid. Then she says a man with no ambition is a turnoff. How do you know they have no ambition? Ain't this from a chick who says she's having sex with a younger man? She didn't even say about his ambitions and what he does. She just said that she's just having great sex with this young man. I've been poor before and smashed a lot, and he want to brag about it again. See? And then they want to say that they are sober sexual, whatever this is called. Like, come on now. And they lying their ass off, because when she came at Obsidian's a real smart guy. No matter if you don't like him or not, he's smart. He book read. But she was tearing him apart talking about her young man. But her young man is not smart. She never said he's smart. But she says this comment right here. And this one guy said, JB says, it's funny enough that they will be considered incels anymore. They got a whole community now, and women have begun to infiltrate and held the femcells. Not really, because the incels even look at them. See, incels are hard to the extreme level 3 incels are hard to convince that you're different than them. They're gonna put you to the grinder until you pass a lot of things that they feel like that you need to pass. And then once you do that, then they feel that you are part of their community. So she's promoting so-called masculine men to her, and she says masculine men comes with things money can't buy. What are those things? Disposability. Or so she just saying bullshit, because if that's the case, then you wouldn't want guy you wouldn't say it on one of the other comments that you like smart men. Lamont made a good point right now. He says basically that y'all going after the easy targets, and that's what they're doing. And people are talking about Kendra D like she's the second coming of the best female on here, just because she has a low tone, just like Rainy Woman. But she's going after low level targets. She's not going after rappers. She's not going after big time men. She's not going after, porn stars or anything else. She's going after incels, the easiest ones to go after. She doesn't go after men who she think is wrong, because if she did, she would lose half her people. So she have to go with incels because they think that incel has the weakest community. But most of the time, most of the incels are not even on YouTube. And a small percentage of them, like 2% of them, are on YouTube. But the rest of them are not on YouTube. Because if they was on YouTube, then it would be a lot different. It would be a lot different. You wouldn't be able to say these things you're saying right now. And here go Kevin Samuels, a man who works with women to use men, talking about perfume, getting something new, smelling perfume, trying on the shoes. So Kevin Samuels been exposed before. There's somebody named Sep-Zero, and then he made a video about Kevin Samuels, and he said how his whole thing is basically is fake and is false. Also, there was somebody in the comment section who said they saw Kevin Samuels up close and told him that he liked the shoes, and Kevin Samuels blew this guy off. And then Kevin Samuels went online and said everybody was complimenting him, and the guy said, well, that wasn't right because I was there at the event and nobody said anything to him. He just sat in the corner by himself. So we getting down to the nitty gritty with this. Hood dudes have a lot of free time on their hands. Plus, in their environment, there's a lot of more women than free men in a small space. A lot of alphas don't categorize themselves. Their energy and position is, and they don't even know what energy of an alpha is. And Danielle George, whatever her name, Danielle George, she's another one who was of Obsidian stuff and then acting like she don't understand stuff. She's the same one who we see on here who playing both sides. You see the regular guys, you see the regular females, look at their names, and then you'll see them inside the comments of Obsidian's chats. So a woman like Tony says, stay in your lane, go where you are embraced. But these are the same women who, like Rainy Woman says, I'm bashing black women when I tell black men go where they wanted at, and Asian women have a more loving nature and a more acceptance to certain men's than black women, and she said that's bashing. But she didn't say nothing to her because she thinks this means black women. And pretty much she says stay in your lane. It means that, translation, it means that the guys that we don't like should date the fat women and the unattractive women and the women with kids and the mental issues and the drug problems and disabled and, you know, disfigured. Girls don't get rejection from men being in quantum. Women reject men for being unsure of themselves and socially awkward. See, they don't even know what a socially awkward is. And how you know a man is unsure of himself when you're not even in his environment? A lot of these women would never see what a man is in his confident moments. I had, it was somebody I knew who told a girl who underestimated a dude, and she didn't know that he played games, right? So the friends was all over, and she looks at him and stuff, and she said, "Whoa, my God, that weirdo is here again." And all of them like games. The minute she saw him change his mentality and saw how much confidence he got when he's playing games and how good he was, she changed her opinion about him. Because she's seen his confidence, she seen what he really was like. You will never know what a person is really like until you are around them or you near of what they are good at and who they are around where they're comfortable. This is why you get introduced to men through their friends. You don't do it by yourself because you're not going to know who they are. And then she says, socially awkward. And I already tapped on that a whole bunch of times. So Kevin Samuels says this one comment, and I want to point out to everybody right here. That's an incel deflection. I'm a chemical engineer and love organic chemistry, and it's sexy than a motherfucker as an undergrad. So why are you on YouTube telling guys to wear $300 suits and stuff? Why haven't you got a position inside of the field that you got in chemical engineering? That's kind of funny that you got all these degrees and all these high academic things, but you're not in that position where you're so good at. You're not even making money in there. Because if you was making real money in there, you wouldn't be on YouTube trying to scam people that you can take advantage of. But hey, I want everybody to believe who they want to believe. And this dude said, Thefia says, Kevin Samuels, but yeah, Quantum Phillips is demanding. That maybe he's don't have time to develop his game. See, I told you before in one of my other videos that game is just a damn gimmick. They don't know what the fuck they don't know what they're talking about when they say shit is game. Most of life isn't a game. To even say things are a game is kind of like downplaying what might happen to you if you do it on the wrong person. And they're not giving these women credit enough. They think these women are stupid to not be hip to the game that they say so. That these women are just pre-selecting these guys based off what they want to hear and what they want to listen to. And then after that, on what somebody looks like. And then after that, they act like they was fooled by these dudes. Salute to engineers in the chat. And this guy says they ain't embraced anywhere, so they're very limited embrace they receive. They jump at me. I don't believe nobody's jumping at you, dude. I love men who demonstrate their intelligence. Don't let them be she just go back on the video and read the shit that she says. They always try to they show that they're flip-flopping all the time when people that they like say the opposite of what they say. When they say, well, I don't like smart, quirky guys. They're kind of socially awkward. And then someone they like says, well, I'm smart. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I like smart guys. They can't stand on their own. They're not individuals. They think of a high mindset. And this is why I say these women that you see in these chat rooms, in this chat room in Obsidian, he needs to ban all of them women. They're not going to give him Patreon because guess what? His Patreon numbers is going up and down. This is why now he's using Cash App. It might be a way where these women all donate to him through Cash App and he keeping them around. But that's not my stuff, because if that was me and I see these women are down on my supporters, I will make an entire show about them, exposing them. Let them come on the live on the panel and say, what do you said like this? Why are you talking about a group of men? Put them on a fire and said, if you don't come on this panel right now, you're never coming on my channel again. And this goes for anybody else who did this. This guy, Obsidian, says, if nobody goes to this program, he tells them out, 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 out. But these women are still in his chat room talking about his supporters, talking about him like a dog. And then they jump on his panel and then act like they're different. Kevin Sam is trying to flex his so-called muscles, talking about sorority girls and brainy girls. That's not brain power, and social skills are to plow them. This dude don't know what social skills really is, because if he had social skills, his numbers, if he had ultimate social skills, he would have white clientele, Asian clientele, and Indian clientele, and his sub numbers would be higher than that, and he will be making bank right now with telling men what to do. He will be getting all these men from every race all around the country coming to him, and he will be backed. And his subscription number will be higher than that. Like, let me check while I'm yeah, he hit his subscriber count. He don't even make at least 10,000 views on his videos. But he said he act like he's so prominent, right? Sure. And then this chick says she's that, and she's not. Sometimes it sounds like people to me are telling guys to suppress who they are to get women. If they don't listen, it's their fault. Yeah, this guy's a flip-flopper. The thiefiest guy, endangered thiefiest, is basically, he's flip-flopping now because he's getting to a territory where he don't like what they're saying. And he's right about that. These women want you to suppress who you are to fit their narrative. And they don't want you to be who you want to be. They want you to be who they want you to be. And when you're not, then they talk all this stuff to you, and you need to go see guys like Kevin Samuels to tell you to waste all your money on clothes and shoes just to impress and tap dance for a chick. And then eventually you're going to run out of money. Then you're going to have to work 10 times harder. And even if you do have a lot of money, eventually you're going to start losing money more and more, wasting all your money on this crazy shit. I think it's a cycle of low self-esteem that start at a young age and never heal. A lot of men are reduced to go to counseling. I applaud you for tricking this. Wow. And this Daniel George. But a lot of women talk about colorism, but they're not going to counseling. They're coming on YouTube talking about how some men like light-skinned women. If that's the case, then why don't you tell these to the women? And she was on Obsidian's panel too, saying some stupid crap. But she doesn't say the same thing to the women's side. Funny that the men have to do that, talking about childhood. And we always have to hear about a drug dealer's come up and what he did to come up. And we have to hear his street story. But then when a guy has problems with women, we can't hear his. We got to tell him that he need to go to counseling. Why can't we tell those guys that did the drug dealing to go to counseling and tell the counselor, not tell the world? Or tell the women who talking about colorism, go to counseling. Don't talk about colorism. Get over it. But they don't say that. Lack of sex appeal and charisma. Most women lack femininity and real looks. So they're even. Living in homes around kids going and stuff. A lot of them are obstinate and cynical all the damn time. Yeah, with women like you going back and forth, you can't be nothing but a cynic. And that's about it, man. I ain't want this video to be going super long, but as you see, I want you to test this out and see what these women say. Challenge them in the chat room if you want to, and look at them jump on Obsidian's panel and in his chat when he goes live. Call them out. All of this shit, man. They got these big opinions. They spreading misinformation. They're generalizing a lot of people, but then they want to block people on people's channels, and they want to say that we're not all like this, but then they want to put everybody in the same category. They want to have immunity to anything they do. They want to have immunity, and they don't want you to see. They want you to separate every black woman, but they can't do the same thing to every black man, and every black man in a sub position in certain categories. And see, this is how they operate. I'm just showing you the evidence on how these people operate.